Hey, Mike with Marketing Systems by Design here, the channel where we help cleaning business owners generate more traffic, leads, and sales for their businesses with digital marketing. In today's video, I'll be walking you through the best way to advertise a cleaning business by ad type, as well as covering some different tips you can use to improve your conversion rates. So let's get into it. So first thing to understand is that it can be a bit confusing when you're trying to advertise a cleaning business. There's a lot of different options out there to choose from, and the reality is a lot of these different methods work when you position them in the right way. And the more you understand your business and your goals will really help you determine which type of ad is going to work best for your marketing plan. So there's three common types of ads that you'll typically run into when you're advertising a cleaning business: Facebook ads, Google ads, or you might consider buying leads from a lead generation site such as Home Advisor or Angie's List. And so each one of these different ad types has its own advantages and disadvantages, and so we'll cover those as well as some tips to maximize your results with these ad types. So the first one we're going to cover is Google ads. And so these ads are search based. And so what this means is that you are going to bid on various different keywords that your ideal customers are likely using when searching on Google. So for example, it might be things like house cleaning near me, or commercial cleaning, or janitorial services, home cleaning, various terms like this. And so usually when people are using these specific types of terms, they have a high intention of hiring a cleaning service. And so that's why you're bidding to have your advertisement show up for these various keywords on Google. And so because these ads are search-based, typically these leads convert very well. The downside to this is that since it's a bidding platform, you're actually competing against all kinds of other different cleaning businesses going after those same keywords in your area. And so this drives the price up for these competitive keywords that usually have a high ratio of people clicking on ads from those keywords and then actually converting. And so this means the cost per click on these different keywords can get kind of expensive. And so if you don't have a large advertising budget, this might not be a good fit for your cleaning business. We've seen ranges from anywhere from $6 a click on up to $30 a click and more, depending on how competitive the market is, whether you're advertising residential services or commercial services, and a lot of other different factors. So one thing to understand is that when it comes to Google ads, they can certainly still be profitable, but you need to have proper expectations when it comes to the results you're going to expect to get from these ads. So for example, let's say you had an advertising budget of $1,000 a month. That roughly breaks down to about $33 a day. And so let's say, for example, your ads were averaging $10 a click. That means you might only get about 3 clicks per day on your ads. And again, understand that not everyone that clicks your ad is going to become a lead, is going to convert into a new customer. So just understand a budget at that level will start getting you results, but it's not going to completely change your business overnight. So be sure to understand having proper expectations when it comes to Google ads. They can be profitable, but you still need to follow up effectively with these leads. And while they are more expensive usually, they tend to be a higher quality because people are actively searching for specific keywords that have a high buyer intent. The next type of ad we want to talk about is buying leads from a lead generation service such as Home Advisor or Angie's List or one of the other various platforms out there. And so how these platforms work is they have the content out there, they have the websites where they're actually generating a relevant lead and then they're reselling that to cleaning companies. So what this means is there's a big upcharge from the leads that they generate to what they actually sell to you. Also, some of these companies will sell the same leads to multiple different cleaning businesses. And so again, it kind of comes to a battle of who's going to have the best offer, who's going to sell the best to that customer. And often in this case, sometimes these leads are just looking for the lowest price. So if you're not the lowest price in the marketplace, you might not be able to convert these leads if that's all these people are looking for. Often these leads also tend to understand that multiple cleaning companies will contact them. So again, it kind of pits you against the other cleaning businesses. And unfortunately, like I said, it often ends into a battle of who's going to be the cheapest. And that might not be the route you want to go with advertising your business. Like I said too, since there is a decent markup from them actually generating the leads themselves and then selling them to you, these leads can be rather expensive as well. The good news is that these ads usually are search intent based because people are actively looking to hire a cleaning service, and that's how they generated the leads in the first place. But these sites typically also don't do any type of qualification process. They don't really care. As long as somebody generated a lead that was interested in hiring a cleaning service, they'll sell it to the highest bidder at that point. So again, you definitely need to have your follow-up process on point with this type of lead generation ad, because many other companies might be contacting the exact same people, and you really need to separate why they should do business with you versus someone else. The good news with this type of ad is that if you're brand new or just getting started, maybe you're not really tech savvy and you don't know how to advertise with other methods, this can be a quick one where you can just sign up for a service like this and start getting targeted leads. So you need to weigh that balance between paying more for these leads and the other downsides that go with it, to the ease of use and ability to acquire these leads right away. The next common ad type are Facebook ads. And so these can be incredibly effective, but understand they do work a little bit different than Google ads as well as these lead generation type ads, because with Facebook ads, they're not actually based on search intent. And so with Facebook ads, a lot of it has to do with the targeting. So you can build audiences based on interests, based on demographics. You can also do it based on user activity. So if you've had people visit your website in the past, hopefully you have a Facebook pixel set up on your website to track that data. And once you have enough data, you can actually build lookalike audiences based on people visiting your site. It also could be a lookalike audience based on your existing customer base, and that can be a highly effective marketing tool as well. And so understand, while you're targeting people that likely have a high interest in hiring a cleaning service, these people haven't actively gone out and started searching for hiring a cleaning service. Meaning they're likely to match the right interests and demographics of people that would hire a cleaning service, but since they aren't actively looking, you need to do a great job of selling these people on why they should do business with you. At the same time, with this in mind, typically leads generated from Facebook ads tend to be a lot cheaper. They're easier to acquire because there's less competition, and if you're targeting the right people, you'll definitely have people reaching out to you. The downside to these type of leads is that they do require more of an aggressive follow-up strategy, also great sales skills on the back end, because again, these people weren't actively looking to hire a cleaning service. Your ads simply pique their interest to reach out to you to request a quote and get more information. So you are going to need a great sales process on the back end to convert these leads. And so you'll probably go through more of a numbers game, talking to more people, getting more rejection from these leads. But on the flip side, a benefit is that these leads are usually much less expensive to acquire. So for example, in some cases with clients we've worked with, we've talked to them and they're getting leads from sites like Google Ads, for example, for like $24, $25 a lead. Sites that are lead generation sites, they're paying around $40 a lead. But then on Facebook, they're paying anywhere from $6 to $15 a lead. And so again, they tend to be a little bit cheaper depending on the method you're using on Facebook. But like I said, a lot more no's are going to come up in this sales process. But if you have a smaller budget and you can tolerate going through more numbers and talking to more people that aren't necessarily a fit to get those conversions, Facebook ads can still be incredibly profitable despite getting more rejection and more no's through this process. And so with all that being said, one important concept to understand is the idea of tracking the cost per lead compared to the value per lead. A lot of people get too caught up on how much leads are costing, or again, that there's too many people saying no to them or leads aren't converting. And obviously you want to have leads that convert, but you really need to look at the numbers to determine whether your ad campaign is actually successful or not. So for example, maybe it's costing you $50 a lead on a specific ad type, but then you're making several hundred or several $1,000s on the back end compared to the overall amount you're spending, making your campaign profitable. So for example, regardless of what the cost per lead is, let's say that you spent $1,000 on Facebook ads, and within that first month, those ads brought in $800 in revenue. You've almost broke even at that point, but then a big percentage of those initial sales actually continued on as repeat customers. And let's say they brought in $600 a month in repeat business for the next 6 months. So obviously, if you spent $1,000 and then brought in $800 immediately, and then $600 for the next 6 months, that more than pays for your $1,000 that you spent on advertising that month. So at first glance, it might seem like you're losing money on those ads, but in reality, you're making a very big profit on those ads. So you really need to understand those conversion rates and your actual return on ad spend to determine whether your campaign is successful or not. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we see cleaning business owners getting too caught up on the daily ups and downs of the advertising process rather than just looking at the long-term perspective of it and seeing that over the long term, their ads are extremely profitable, where on a day-to-day basis, it might seem like they're not working when in reality they are. Another thing to consider too is the different types of ads you might be running and how effective those ad types are for your marketing strategy. So for example, if you're on Facebook, one great strategy you can use are messenger ads. And so the benefit of these is typically these ads are a lot cheaper. The cost per lead usually ends up being pretty low because you're not taking people off of Facebook. They can simply just send your company a message, request a quote. You can have a conversation with them right there. People feel more comfortable with that because they aren't necessarily giving you all this information up front. They're maybe not having to enter their name, their email, their phone number on a form. They're not answering a bunch of questions right away. They just simply send you a message requesting a quote. You ask them the details you need, and then you can provide the quote right there. Again, the more steps you make people go through, typically the lower the conversion rate is going to be. So when you keep people on Facebook with a messenger ad, the cost per lead is less. But again, there's a downside to this in the sense that sometimes it's harder to get a hold of these people once they've initially messaged you. But when you understand that and you know that it's a numbers game, these ad types can still be very profitable. And if you don't have a huge ad spend budget in the beginning, this could be a great place to start. You can focus more on the hustle sales side of things, converting these leads, versus having a big ad spend budget to acquire more targeted leads that are more of a laydown sale. The other type of ad I recommend is using conversion ads. And so you can do this with Facebook ads, but you can also do this with Google ads as well. And so a benefit of this is you are generating your own leads. So compared to a lead generation service that's selling you leads, you're generating the leads on your own. So you've created a landing page, a page on your website where people can request a quote, fill out their information. You now have that where you are in control of the follow-up process. So whether that's setting someone up in an email marketing series, reaching out to them via phone call, sending them an email to follow up, all of these are great options, but you control the lead. And also, typically these leads tend to be more qualified because it takes a more serious person to click on an ad, go to your website, fill out a form to request a quote from your business versus maybe just replying to a message on Facebook. The downside to this type of ad is they tend to be more expensive, and you still certainly need to follow up with them aggressively because it's pretty easy these days for people to request a quote from many different businesses at the same time. So having that follow-up and sales process on the back end in place can really help you convert these leads. Now, a tip to help you convert more of these leads and to generate more leads overall for your business is to have shorter estimate forms. A lot of times we run into cleaning businesses that have huge estimate forms, right? They're asking 20, 30 different questions from their potential customers before they even give them a quote. And usually most people, when they're requesting a quote, they just want a price, right? They want a general idea of if this service falls into their budget. And then once it does, they're going to do more research on the company and decide between maybe your company and another company that fits their budget. So a lot of people, if you force them to fill out 20, 30 different questions, whatever the case might be, you're asking for how many bedrooms they have, how many bathrooms, the square footage, do they have kids, do they have pets, do they want to do dusting, right? It just keeps going on and on. This can actually deter a lot of people from even filling out your forms. And so while you're trying to get leads that are very qualified, that's great. But if you're doing this at the cost of losing so many leads because people aren't willing to actually fill out that form, it might not be worth it. So one thing that we would suggest is asking the amount of questions that you need to give a decently accurate estimate. So again, that just might be their name, their email, their phone number, and approximate square footage of their home or business. Again, this quote doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close and a general idea of what their price might be. And then if they're interested at that point, it's then your job to sell them on why they should do business with you versus another company. So keep that in mind. Sometimes asking less questions is better for you in the long run because you can generate more leads up front and sort through the ones that aren't a fit to get to those ones that really are. So don't necessarily sacrifice trying to get the perfect lead in exchange for getting little to no leads. Sometimes people you think won't be a good fit will actually end up hiring you. So this big sorting process up front might cost you business. Another thing to understand is that you really want to track your leads and where they come from. So there's different ways to do this. One suggestion we would have is to create specific landing pages for your ads. So you have a landing page for your Facebook ads, you have one for your Google ads, you have a separate estimate request form for general people that visit your website. Because when you separate out how things are tracked, you can determine what's working and what's not, and what you need to change to get better results in the future. Another great idea you might want to implement is using call tracking. So there's all kinds of different various software programs out there that will track phone calls from your website. One that we've used a lot is CallRail. And what this does is it sets up a phone number that forwards to your main number. And so you'll put this number in your advertisements, and then when people call, you can tell where those ads came from. And you'll put this phone number in your advertisements, and then when you get phone calls on this number, you're able to track where they came from. There's also additional benefits too, like you can record phone calls that come in so you can see how the sales process goes down in real time. And this can help you make improvements as well and find potential issues on why leads aren't converting. You also want to set up tracking like having a landing page and a thank you page, as this has a lot of benefits. Again, you can track it through things like Google Analytics. If you're running Facebook ads, you can set up pixels on the landing page and the thank you page, tracking conversions, but you can also create different audiences based on those site visitors as well. So you could build an audience based on people that visit that thank you page, meaning someone that converted into a lead, and then create an audience of people that look just like that. And so if you're getting a lot of leads, you can actually turn that into more leads by targeting a more specific qualified audience, which is great. Now, diving into some different follow-up tips, there's a few things that we really want to recommend. One is to follow up in a timely manner. Sometimes we find that people just don't follow up quickly. They're busy, they're in the trenches, they're actually doing the cleaning themselves. They maybe don't have a dedicated person on the phones or responsible for follow-up. And a lot of these leads end up going through the cracks and going to the competitors. So make sure that you make a priority of following up quickly with these leads, because as I said, in today's age, it's pretty simple for people to request estimates from your business, but also many other businesses at the same time. So follow up quickly, as that's very important. Another tip is to work on your sales process. A lot of times what we find when we actually dive deep into our cleaning clients' business is we find that they're really struggling with the sales process. So for example, you want to stay in control of the conversation and always be leading people to that next step in your sales process. So if someone asks for a quote, don't just give them the quote, and then transition them into the next step of the sales process. So it might be something like, great, thanks for requesting a quote. Based on the information you gave us, it looks like that initial cleaning is going to be about $300. We also have a few openings left this week when we could schedule that. Would Tuesday or Thursday work better for you? And so again, you're providing the information they asked for, you're giving them that quote, but then you're transitioning them into that next step, whatever that is for you. Again, it might sound something like, thanks for requesting an estimate. Based on the numbers you gave us, it looks like your first initial cleaning is going to be about $300. But for us to really provide the most accurate quote, the next step would be to schedule a walkthrough of your home to determine the exact price it would be to schedule a service. We've got a few openings left this week. Would something in the afternoon or evening work better for you? Again, you're transitioning them into that next step. So follow this process. It can help you convert more leads because you're staying in control of the conversation versus leaving it up to your potential customers. Some of the last tips we have for you are in relation to helping you to improve conversion rates from things outside of your ads. So one thing we talked about was the forms, having those shorter. Another thing that you want to do is use real photos in your advertising and on your website. When people hire a cleaning service, they're letting technicians into their home or business, and these are complete strangers. A lot of people aren't necessarily comfortable with that. So you need to build trust as quickly as possible. And one way to do that is to use real photos of your technicians, of your processes, of the equipment that you use, before and after photos, and various things like that. When people can put a face to your business, it goes a long way to build trust and help improve your conversion rates. Another thing you want to focus on is your website itself. If your website looks dated, it's not really functional, it doesn't maybe have a lot of content on it, again, it's lacking real photos, this can turn people away from your business very quickly. Again, even if you're advertising on a platform like Facebook and it's through Messenger where people never have to go to your website, most people still do. When they're in the research process, they're asking for various quotes from different businesses. If they come to your website and it looks old, it doesn't function well, it doesn't have the things that they're looking for, they might just never reply back to your initial message, or you send them a quote and you never hear back from them again. Most likely they visited your website and checked out your online presence and didn't like what they see and decided to go with someone else. So if you're not doing conversion ads, or especially if you are, you're still sending people to your website, whether the ad does specifically or not, because people want to research your company. So make sure you have a professional website in place that builds trust, establishes credibility for your business, and makes people want to do business with you rather than repel them from your business. Another way to do this on your website that's an important part to improve conversion rates is your review and reputation management. And so you can talk about how great your business is all day long, but if you have happy customers talking about how great your business is, it does a lot better job of selling your services in most cases than you ever could. And so put an emphasis on your review and reputation management. Strive to get more positive reviews for your business, but also highlight them on your website and in your marketing. Because when people see happy, satisfied customers, they're much more likely to do business with you versus a competitor. So pay attention to these outside factors beyond your advertisements, because it doesn't matter how great the ads are. You can get a high quality lead from your ads, but if your online presence isn't set up properly, these leads might not convert because of that. So great ads aren't really ever going to outwork a terrible online presence elsewhere for your business. But again, guys, hopefully you got some benefit and value out of this video. Implement these tips, use these ad strategies, determine which one is going to work best for you in your situation. And if you're struggling to set up ads for your business, or you'd like some help on that, feel free to reach out to our agency at marketingsystemsbydesign.com, and we can help set up these ads for you. Also, if you're struggling to generate leads outside of paid advertising, we put together a free video on the top 10 lead sources for cleaning business owners. So if you'd like to learn how to generate more targeted leads for your business, click on the link in the description below this video. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.